The world is waiting on you to show up. Being exposed to something different exposes more of you. I would just challenge you to not think about it so hard. Not think about what could potentially go wrong. Think about what could go right. Because 9 times out of 10, the goodness is on the other side. We don't always have to agree, but we have to recognize that when we don't agree, there's something there to evolve from. All right, y'all, this next episode is really Logan offering and giving me questions that I have no idea what he's gonna ask. And I think that there's an opportunity for me to dig deeper here. So I want you to tune in and let me know what you think. All right, y'all, welcome back to the Real Connect podcast. I am Tamika, your host, and today's episode is a bit different. I have my partner in crime, Logan, here behind the scenes being the director of sorts. So he will be asking me questions and I will be answering. Logan, what you got for me?
Hey, first of all, thanks for having me back. Super excited to be back. Yeah, we always have such great conversations at home in the confines of our own home. And one of the things that we've talked about very often that I thought would really be good for you to share with our audience, your audience, is a little bit more about experiences, more particularly how we grow, and even more particular and more specific in that. How do you think you've grown since you left Seattle, which is your home, the 206, always the 206, 6 forever? Do you think you would have become the person if you stayed in Seattle?
First of all, Seattle will always be my place, all right? Like, I will forever represent the 206. That is home. That is my heart. But I think that you're right in saying, and we have had this conversation before, that, like, Seattle is my home. That's my core. That is my foundation. That's what built the place that built who I was. But it could only build me up to a certain point, right? And I left Seattle because I had created the relationships that I wanted to create, and it became stagnant. Like we always talk about, at some point I always tell people there's almost like a voice or like a situation that occurs where, like, it's time to move on. And I think a lot of people just push that to the side and they don't allow themselves to do something that's uncomfortable. But I knew in my heart, in my soul, that it was time to leave when I graduated high school. And I did just that. And I left. I went to Virginia State, which is the HBCU. I completely changed my perspective on so many things in life because I was exposed to, a larger Black community. I was exposed to different culture in a different way, and Black culture, real, true Black people.
As an East Coast guy, growing where you are true East Coast truther, as you well know, to tell us a little bit about that discovery to kind of first learn that the difference between the coasts are just massive. We talk about,
Listen,
the culture is different. The experiences that you got, what those mean.
I'm West Coast all the way. And there's a whole different vibe. Like, the vibe on the West Coast is like this calming, like sensible, like it's an irreplaceable nature that I have inside me that's based on the West Coast, Pacific Northwest upbringing that I have. I'd have like this very solemn approach to things. When I went to Virginia State and I was exposed to like New Yorkers, New Jersey folks, and just like the sororities and the fraternities, like when you have that life where like people are joyful, your people are joyful on the yard, living their best lives, especially with the accent from New York, especially with how they connect on like, man, the game is just different, right? The way you approach things are different from New York to the West Coast. And I just felt like I was in a different state of mind there, and I was exposed to a larger, like more expansive horizon in my life. And also, it opened me up to realize that like my people or how I moved wasn't the only way, right? And the relationships that I built on campus, I still have to this day. And all of them are very successful. Most of them, like, we had a great time. Like, we partied, we lived our lives. But I'm so grateful that I got out of my comfort zone of Seattle, because Seattle just couldn't, under any circumstances, bring me what I got from being at HBCU and being around a different dynamic of people that had a whole different way of thinking. And now I connect to New Yorkers and East Coast people. And honestly, to be completely honest, I probably wouldn't have married you. Like, I was exposed to a New York scenario and vibe, and that vibe was a part of my soul after being on the East Coast. And I know New York music. I didn't know that before in Seattle. We're not exposed to that like that. But I knew all the music. Like, y'all, I'm hip, just saying.
Yeah, quick interjection as you kind of lay all this out. Do you think you would have become the person that you become today, the successful person that you've become, without having left Seattle to start to have new experiences, start to cultivate new and other relationships? And talk a little bit more about the new relationships.
No, there's Seattle, like I said, I reached the plateau. I had reached a plateau. Even at 17, 18 years old, I was 17 when I left Seattle. So even at 17, I knew that I had reached a plateau. I think there's so many people, even in my life, that I've seen in the past and currently, that get stuck at home because there's a comfortability. There's like this level of, I don't have to do too much. And to me, it stifles a lot of your growth, and you're not forced to like truly grow up and be able to see what you're really made of. Like, we have to be able to get up, get out, and do something different. And in order for you to do that, you got to get up out of wherever you grew up. Because even in Seattle, like, I knew a lot of people. And clearly, the people that I know that are successful that grew up in Seattle left Seattle. There are several very prominent individuals that are from Seattle that have done very well, and they either live in New York, Texas, Atlanta. And they're doing amazingly well. So no, I would not have been the same person. The relationships that I've built, first of all, I knew how to connect and relate to different types of people after leaving Seattle. Seattle gave me a great foundation because I have exposure to diverse types of situations, whether you're rich and you don't see, like, you can't tell that people are rich. I was around people that worked at Microsoft and, that were doctors and all of that, and were multimillionaires, but you would never be able to tell.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges to maintain the relationships, as you, in your exact words, Seattle is foundational?
Yeah.
Foundational relationships still must exist in Seattle. What have been the challenges with nurturing them, kind of repositioning them, growing in those relationships, or not?
Yeah, I've learned that, like, some people are not going to grow with you, unfortunately. And I'm an avid believer in trying to nurture the relationships, and in nurturing the relationships, that means, you're making phone calls, you're going back home, you're connecting with the people, and you're saying, let's meet up. And a lot of times you realize you don't really have that much in common anymore. But you have to remember that those people are part of your life no matter what. And you still have them in your life, but you recognize that they don't have to be present in your life all the time. And I value all of those people because those people help me to develop into who I am. But the challenge is that, as people always say, Jay-Z, like, all of these people, like, I didn't work this hard to stay the same. Like, I didn't leave, I didn't become successful and do all of these things to become the same person. And a lot of people that I grew up with don't recognize this person. They see me, but they don't recognize all of the other things because I'm different in a way. Like, I still am the same Tamika in the sense that I still love people, but like the external is different now, right? And some people don't match well with that.
The kind of thing that you've learned about relationships, kind of starting in Seattle, kind of transitioning and pivoting to your time of beginning state and moving up to Chicago, spending some time in Atlanta. How have all those experiences prepared you for how you want your relationships be in the future?
'Cause I've been exposed to different perspectives from Seattle to Chicago to Virginia. I lived in Houston for a little bit, and I don't have to agree with everyone, but I respect everyone. I respect everyone's opinion. And that has allowed me to be able to connect with people on a deeper level, no matter if we understand one another or not, no matter if they're rich, poor, you know, not necessarily in my class, well, whatever it may be. Like, we're all humans at the end of the day. And I think that me being able to build solid relationships has been all about accepting people for who they are.
In your opinion, how important on a scale of 1 to 10 is it to get away from home?
25,000. It's so important. I think it's just, even if you're away for just a little bit, it's like you have to get out to see the world and to see what else is out there, because it being exposed to something different exposes more of you, more of your possibilities, more of who you are, the depths of the future that you have to offer the world. Like, it provides you with a purpose. And that's why I love to travel, right? Because every time we travel, or every time I've traveled, I have a different ability to see the world in a different light. And I think we miss out on an opportunity to do that if we stay in our four walls or the comfort zone of where we've grown up.
What advice would you give to people who they hadn't really left home? They lived in the same city, they've been in the same house since they were born. What advice would you give them from your experiences on what you should do and how to think about life?
The world is waiting on you to show up, man. The world is waiting on you to get out. And I think that, there's nothing wrong with being at home and doing all of that. I would challenge you to think about who you could meet, who you can illuminate with your light. And in order for you to see the light that you have to offer, you have to expand your horizons, and you have to get out of the same day-to-day life. I had a friend that used to tell me, your routine is the same every day. You get up, you go to work, you take the same route to work every day, take the same route back home, you eat the same food, you do all of this stuff. And it's like, what's new? What's fresh? How are you gonna grow? How are you gonna change? And I was doing that for years, and like, I was stuck. And that's not a comfortable place to be, because I think most people know that they need a change, but they're not comfortable with expanding. So they would prefer to just be. But I would just challenge you to not think about it so hard. Not think about what could potentially go wrong. Think about what could go right, because 9 times out of 10, the goodness is on the other side. And I think something to think about too, I've been able to accomplish a lot in life, a lot of things that people don't even know about. And most of it, if not all of it, is due to the fact that I've been able to, step out and meet new people and be exposed to different things. And I'm inspired on a day-to-day basis. And the only way that I'm inspired is because I'm exposed. So I just want more people to get exposed, more people to be open to communicate and connect with people that are unlike them, because that's where you're going to evolve. And we don't always have to agree, but we have to recognize that when we don't agree, there's something there to evolve from.
I just had a little bit of an epiphany. A little more edgy question. This is definitely my last question. Do you feel like people who don't take on that journey, who don't find the presence to be able to really step away, you think they're at risk of being left behind?
Ooh. Deep. Um, I think that yes and no. I think there's a place for everyone. And this is the only thing that I will leave everyone with. It's not my choice or my judgment that will matter. It's yours on yourself. We all know, we all have this innate feeling at any given time, whether we are playing it safe, whether we feel like we have more to offer. And I felt that way in the past, and maybe you're comfortable. If you're satisfied, good for you. The point is if you have this urge, this calling, follow it because it's not going to stop. And if you have this urge or calling, it's going to be hard for you not to get left behind if you don't pursue it. It was a great episode. If you like and you want to see more of episodes like this, or if even you have questions that you want to ask me, feel free to reach out, like and subscribe or comment. And until next time, connect with us at the Real Connect Podcast.